Donald Trump's stooges are doing everything they can right now to defend the ridiculous and frankly dangerous people that Donald Trump is nominating for positions within his cabinet. The Matt Gaetz's, Tulsi Gabbard's, Pete Hegseth's, they are doing everything they possibly can. And when Trump's stooges are debasing and embarrassing themselves to support their cult leader, we know that Lindsey Graham is involved. And last night he was on Sean Hannity doing exactly that, trying to make the case for Donald Trump's cabinet. And for some reason, it sounded like Lindsey was drunk. Clearly, he is struggling with having to defend these decisions from Donald Trump because he was slurring his words, kind of losing his mind and unraveling because of the difficulty of the job that he has to do. Because defending Matt Gaetz, really, it's a new low for Lindsey, and we are going to get into all of that disaster interview. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into Lindsey Graham's meltdown, Jasmine Crockett also had some thoughts on Donald Trump's cabinet that I want to get into right here.
I mean, we are just in uncharted territory, but if anybody is surprised, then I say you haven't been paying attention. Because the reality is that we have someone that is not qualified morally or otherwise to be president of the United States. So why would his appointments be qualified? These are people that have railed against diversity, equity, and inclusion, trying to say that diverse candidates are somehow not qualified. But the reality is that what they want to do is more of this, is put people that are not qualified in and say, well, you know what, because he's my homeboy, he is qualified. That's not enough. That is what the good old boy system has always been about. And it's why we have not ever reached our maximum potential, because we do take the real qualified people out of the running because they don't bend the knee or because culturally their background is a little different.
Jasmine Crockett is so spot on with that analysis. All Republicans wanted to do was talk about DEI and unfair hiring practices within the Biden administration of competent individuals who successfully did their jobs, as we can see with the success of the Biden-Harris administration. But now Donald Trump is getting MAGA whack jobs, his closest stooges, his closest cultists, Fox hosts, for God's sakes, and it's completely fine that these people have either no qualifications or are dangerous in the case of a Tulsi Gabbard or a Matt Gaetz. It's the reason why Lindsey Graham was struggling or slurring through the defense of Matt Gaetz. But it wasn't just that. It was also the support for someone else who we're going to get into in just a second. But first, let's check out what he had to say about Matt Gaetz.
He won the election. He deserves a chance to pick his cabinet. I am predisposed to allow him to do that. I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing, and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job and give Matt a chance to prove himself.
And you have a history of that.
I do it for everybody. I do it for everybody.
I cannot be the only one who thinks that Lindsey sounds a little overserved, to put it lightly there. Clearly coping, clearly not having such a great day. When he was asked about the nomination of Matt Gaetz, asked by a reporter as he was walking through the halls of the Senate, he's like, I don't know, I don't have a comment, and tried to run away as quickly as he possibly could because he knows how bad this is. It's an unserious pick. And another unserious pick is who Donald Trump wants to fill the shoes of Marco Rubio, the little shoes of Marco Rubio in Florida's Senate seat that he's leaving vacant. And that's Laura Trump. And Lindsey Graham talked about that, again, slurring his words, sounding insane. And we're going to get to it. But before we do, I think Eric Swalwell's reaction to the Matt Gaetz news was really important.
Here we are. What do you think?
Well, to the president, I say, no, seriously, who is your pick for Attorney General? Because this pick is a middle finger to Democrats and sane Republicans. And it's not being panned only by Democrats, Aaron. My Republican friends in the House are also clowning this pick. They're saying it publicly, as you just read off, but they're also saying it privately. And that was the mood earlier at the Capitol. And so, Donald Trump, not known for having a sense of humor, credit to you. You landed a good joke on the country. But this is a position, considering what it oversees: counterterrorism, money laundering, public corruption, child trafficking. It's worthy of being taken seriously, and also should tell you everything about Matt Gaetz, that he would allow himself to be used by the president to try and own the libs with something that we know is never going to pass in the Senate.
Well,
Once again, so spot on. This is an unserious selection from an unserious administration. But as Kamala Harris said and tried to warn us about, he is a deeply unserious man, but the consequences of his actions, those are deeply serious, and they should trouble us. And it's not, again, just Donald Trump's cabinet, but the people that he wants filling the seats of those who would be in his cabinet, like Laura Trump in Florida. And when Lindsey tried to defend that decision, again, he just sounded weird.
I'm getting that answer. I'm going to have her call in if I have to.
Let me
how
give
would
you
you
my
feel about
answer.
that, by the way?
I would be like over the top excited. She busted her ass to help President Trump win. She helped the Senate. She helped the House. She was a co-chair of the RNC. There was no cheating. She raised a ton of money. Nobody understands the American First agenda better than Laura Trump. She's a great mother, a very sharp young lady. I would love to have her as a colleague. That'd be up to Governor DeSantis, but we could not do better on the Republican side than Laura Trump.
Now, there is no Florida Republican in my home state that I would like to see elevated to the Senate, but you cannot tell me that Laura Trump is qualified to hold any public office. What has she done? I know that Donald Trump won this election, so we're supposed to say that the RNC was so spectacular, but she just was shifting funds around to pay his legal bills. I don't think she's some sort of political genius and certainly has no ability to serve. And it contradicts her own feelings of the DEI practices that Republicans complain about in an unserious manner. Just take a look at what she had to say right here.
Let's be honest. She has failed upward her entire career. Somehow we know why Joe Biden chose her to be vice president with him. He said, these aren't my words, these are his. We want to choose someone not based on merit, not based on their skill set, not based on the fact that they might be the best person for the job of vice president, based on how she looked, based on the fact that this is a woman, based on the fact that she was a minority woman. That's really gross as far as I'm concerned. I'm a woman. Do me a favor. Don't ever give me a position based on the fact that I'm a woman. Either I earned it or I didn't. And that's it. That's all I need.
So Laura's already said it. She's ruled herself out. She doesn't want any position that she doesn't deserve. And the fact that she thought that Kamala Harris had everything handed to her in her life when she's only spent her life winning elections shows that Laura Trump is the one who is the DEI candidate, much like we've seen from all of Donald Trump's cabinet picks. It's this rewriting of history that's so incredibly ridiculous that we're seeing from the media. And like I said, these people aren't just unserious, but dangerous. And that's why this question yesterday at a White House press briefing was so stupid.
But a lot was said on the campaign trail, like Trump is a dangerous threat to our country and our democracy. Was there an apology today?
I'm sorry?
Was there an apology from
Apology
from President
whom?
Biden for the words, some of the words used?
An apology from the President Biden.
To President-elect Trump for some of the words that was used on the campaign trail.
Look, and I've answered this a couple of times about a threat to democracy in the past week. The president is going to always feel obligated to be honest with the American people. What he says still stands. And it's not just him. You heard this from former staffers. You've heard it from the former chief of staff, John Kelly, and others. You've heard it directly from the president-elect, the former president, about enemy of the people. Very, very clear. Very clear. What we want to be also very clear about is the importance of listening to the will of the American people. There was an election. It is important to respect our institution. It is important to respect the free and fair elections. And that's what this president is doing. Leading by example and putting that aside and putting the American people first. But what he said still stands. And it's not just him. We should not just put this at the president. His own people said this. So I want to be really, really clear about that and not forget the facts. There are facts here that we should certainly also lift up as you're asking me these questions. Go ahead, Anita.
Why would Joe Biden have to apologize for the accurate assessment that Donald Trump is and was a threat to democracy? We see the threat that he poses with those who he is nominating to his cabinet. Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset. Like, Hillary Clinton has been saying that for years, and now she's his director of national intelligence? Really? The person who's in Putin's pocket? That's a dangerous individual. And we could go down the list of how unserious these people are and how willing they are to serve Donald Trump at all costs. Yes, he is a threat to democracy. Donald Trump doesn't need an apology from Joe Biden. A ridiculous thing to say. And I expect nothing less. But of course, we're going to be calling all that out. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.